coming up.
That money inherently belonged to the town of Ogunquit.
The town manager of Ogunquit is not only out of a job, but on trial for charging and then pocketing parking fees on the 4th of July. The White House says President Donald Trump meant no offense when he joked about Pocahontas during an event honoring Native American veterans. The head of the Small Business Administration comes to Maine to push the GOP tax plan while protesters turn up the pressure on Senator Susan Collins to vote it down.
People knew what was in the bill. They'd be burning Washington, D.C. to the ground.
Plus, another royal wedding is in the works. The news starts right now. Hello, everybody. I'm Cindy Williams. Thanks so much for joining us. A year ago, Thomas Fortier was the town manager of Ogunquit. Today, he's on trial for stealing $400 in parking fees that should never have been collected in the first place. NewsCenter's Chris Rose was in court as the trial began.
Thomas Fortier is facing 2 charges as he went on trial here at York County Superior Court: theft by unauthorized taking and official oppression.
This case, boiled down to its simplest, is about 2 young men. It's about their boss. It's about what their boss made them do.
Prosecutor Joshua Saucier told jurors Thomas Fortier instructed those 2 teens to collect parking fees in a town-owned lot before Ogunquit's 4th of July celebration. At that time of day, parking in the lot was free. One of the teens testified he saw Fortier put the money they collected into his pocket.
That money inherently belonged to the town of Ogunquit, that the defendant, Thomas Fortier, put that money in his pocket, and that the defendant, Thomas Fortier, never turned that money in.
The teen also testified Fortier offered him some of the money, but he refused to take it. He said Fortier then joked that the kid's morals were kicking in. Fortier had been town manager of Ogunquit since 2009. His attorney told jurors during that time town revenues were up and expenditures were down. But he said Fortier rubbed some people the wrong way with his brash and cocky style.
Well, we are going to present a case to you to show you the other side of the story that's going on here.
Bruce Merrill implored jurors to keep an open mind and not to pass judgment until they hear testimony from both sides.
As with everything in life, there are 2 sides of the story, and you've taken an oath not to prematurely judge this case. My client, Thomas Fortier, is cloaked in the presumption of innocence.
As part of a deal worked out with town officials, Fortier resigned as town manager in February, provided he continue to be paid until the end of June. His trial here in York County is expected to last through the week. In Alfred, I'm Chris Rose, News Center.
A man from Piscataquis County has been charged with manslaughter in a crash that killed a 63-year-old woman last week. Robin Garden died in the crash on Route 16 in Alden on Friday. Tyler Creighton of Medford was in court today to hear several charges, including manslaughter, driving to endanger. Investigators say Creighton crossed the center line and hit Garden's vehicle head-on. He told police he was texting at the time of the crash. Creighton, who was out on bail for an OUI charge last month, had been at a methadone clinic before the accident. He pleaded guilty in a separate OUI case in March. We found out today that a woman from the town of Kenduskeag who was badly burned in a fire at her home has died. The State Fire Marshal's office says Cheryl Bassett passed away at Maine Medical Center on Friday. She was 60 years old. The fire, which happened on November 15th, started in the living room and destroyed the home. As for a cause, it's still under investigation. Maine State Police in northern Penobscot County are asking for your help in finding a woman who's been missing since last night. They say that Lisa Braslett was last seen walking on the road in the town of Bradford, where she lives on Melody Lane. Braslett is 52 years old. She's 5'4", weighs about 200 pounds, and was wearing blue jeans, a blue hooded sweatshirt, and blue boots. If you see her, you're asked to call 973-3700, 973-3700. A Canadian mining company has purchased thousands of acres in northern Maine and plans to begin test drilling next month. Wolfton Resources Corp, that's a mineral exploration business out of Canada, has bought nearly 7,000 acres north of the town of Patten. And the Portland Press Herald is reporting the company is going to be testing for deposits of copper and other minerals under Picket Mountain. Now, if that area is eventually developed into a mine, it would be Maine's first commercial mine business in decades. Today in Washington, Congress is back to work and back to more talk of sexual harassment allegations. Minnesota Senator Al Franken is speaking out, and longtime Congressman John Conyers is leaving a leadership position. Both are facing ethics investigations. All of that as Congress is working to prevent a government shutdown and Republicans desperately trying to pass tax reform. NBC's Blaine Alexander has more from Washington.
The focus on Capitol Hill today, less policy, more apology.
I know that I've let a lot of people down.
Minnesota Senator Al Franken speaking after being accused of forcibly kissing one woman and groping 3 others.
This will not happen again going forward.
But stressing he has no plans to leave the Senate.
I am embarrassed. I feel ashamed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start my job. I'm going to go back to work.
This as Congressman John Conyers denies harassment allegations, but gives up his position as top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee amid an ethics investigation, adding, "I very much look forward to vindicating myself and my family before the House Ethics Committee." While Franken and Conyers dominate headlines, the House working to reach a deal to avoid a government shutdown next Friday, and Senate Republicans pushing for a vote on tax reform this week.
I am confident that we're going to get this done soon, get it to the president's desk, and the president is eagerly looking forward to signing it.
Today, President Trump hosting a group of GOP senators at the White House.
It will be the biggest tax reduction in the history of our country. It'll bring jobs. It'll bring a lot of income coming into the country.
Asking Congress to deliver what he calls a Christmas present to the American people. And passing a tax reform bill would also be a gift for President Trump, his first big win on Capitol Hill and the fulfillment of a campaign promise. Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Washington.
Claims of sexual harassment filed with Maine's Human Rights Panel has been declining for years, but experts say it's unclear if the recent high-profile allegations will encourage more victims to now come forward. The Portland Press Herald reports that 58 sexual harassment claims were filed with the panel from 2016 to 2017. That's down from a high of 170 in 2000-2001. Experts credited the state for requiring more prevention training than other states do, but also said the rise of private settlements could be pushing official numbers down. Amy Sneerson, the executive director of the Maine Human Rights Commission, says it's hard to guess the impact of allegations against public figures like movie mogul Harvey Weinstein and Republican Senate candidate Roy Moore, but she hopes that victims will be emboldened. When we come back here on News Center at 5:30, what President Trump said in the Oval Office today that is raising more than just a few eyebrows, and later.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I could barely let you finish proposing. I was like, can I say yes now?
She didn't even let me finish.
They made their engagement official today. Now Prince Harry and Meghan Markle sit down for their first interview together. Find out how he popped the question as News Center continues. We begin this segment with a shout out to Staff Sergeant Ryan McCarthy of Belgrade Lakes. He's been named the U.S. Army's Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year. McCarthy took part in the Army's Best Warrior competition last month. It was this grueling 6-day competition between him and 10 other finalists. He came out on top. McCarthy has been in the military for 9 years, including tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. They were the Native American men who helped win World War II, and in honoring them today, President Trump revived a nickname he's used for Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Major Connor also said, without Navajo, Marines would never have taken the island of Iwo Jima.
The president was honoring 3 surviving Navajo code talkers. These were radio men who used their native language to communicate over radios during battles in Europe and the Pacific. It was a form of code the Germans and the Japanese could not break. During his remarks praising the code talkers, the president said this.
And I just want to thank you because you're very, very special people. You were here long before any of us were here. Although we have a representative in Congress who they say was here a long time ago. They call her Pocahontas. But you know what? I like you because you are special. You are special people. You are really incredible people. And from the heart, from the absolute heart, we appreciate what you've done, how you've done it, the bravery that you displayed, and the love that you have for your country.
Now, Trump began using Pocahontas to attack Senator Warren during the 2016 campaign. He used it again as president during a speech at the NRA convention in April. This is what Senator Warren had to say about today's remarks.
It is deeply unfortunate that the President of the United States cannot even make it through a ceremony honoring these heroes without having to throw out a racial slur. Look, Donald Trump does this over and over, thinking somehow he's going to shut me up with it. It hadn't worked in the past. It is not going to work in the future.
In 2012, Senator Warren told the Associated Press her deceased parents had told her and her brothers of their Native American ancestry. She says she never sought to prove it because she didn't see it as necessary. Your weather forecast is coming up next on News Center and later.
People knew what was in the bill. They'd be burning Washington, D.C. to the ground.
Senator Susan Collins gets an earful for some Mainers about the Republican tax cut plan. What she thinks of it as News Center continues. It is a critical week in Washington for Republicans working on tax reform. The party's trying to get holdouts like Maine Senator Susan Collins to support the Senate plan. But as our Danielle Wall reports, the senator is facing pressure from home as well.
As their senator sifts through a complex tax plan, their message to Susan Collins is simple.
Do the right thing, just say no.
Tax reform would be the Trump administration's first legislative victory, and these protesters in Portland hope a moderate from Maine can block it.
I think some of her reservations about the bill are right on the money.
The size of this protest is small compared to similar protests we saw during the health care debate. These organizers say that could be because people don't understand what's in the GOP tax plan.
If people knew what was in the bill, they'd be burning Washington, D.C. to the ground.
The most controversial components: repealing the estate tax, cutting taxes for corporations and high-income earners, and including a repeal of the Obamacare individual mandate.
Should people be paying attention to this? 100%.
Also talking taxes in Maine.
I'm really pleased to be here in Maine.
The head of the Small Business Administration holding this roundtable with local entrepreneurs.
The issue of taxes is something that every one of the small businesses that I talk to, they respond that tax savings would be used to invest back in their businesses.
Linda McMahon is touting the GOP tax plan because she says cuts to corporate taxes will spur economic growth for everyone. But businesses need to know what kind of tax savings to expect.
Small businesses are saying they needed certainty. They want to know when these tax reforms, these tax cuts are going to happen so they can plan.
And one person that's uncertain is Senator Susan Collins, so far uncommitted on supporting a tax plan. In Portland, Danielle Waugh, News Center.
Time now for a look outside. Keith Carson joins us. Cold Monday. But
it
not
is.
too bad.
It's actually going to be pretty chilly tonight. It could be one of the coolest nights for some of us,
Okay.
so particularly along the coastline. I'll show you those lows in a second. Of course, we're way past the time when you have to worry about it anymore, I guess, as far as anything going on outside. But it's 32 already in Portland, 16 in Greenville. It'll be in the single digits in the mountains tonight. A couple of snow showers still left over. These were more squally in nature earlier today. I love those convective snow squalls because there's something very summery about them. It sounds weird, but they've got that kind of look, a darker cloud in a relatively unblemished sky otherwise. There's still some snow showers over northern Maine as well, up towards Holton. those, excuse me, are kind of diminishing, you can see in the last couple of frames. So things will settle down. Winds will settle down as well. Right now, they're still gusty, 25 to 30 miles an hour, and that's added a bite to the air, even when temperatures are still in the 30s. And as they drop tonight, it will not help at all. I'm going for 14 in Portland, 5 in Freiburg, 3 in Berlin. I can envision, though, a situation if we clear and we decouple fast enough, we could get to 0 in some of these communities here in the mountains and into places like Eustis and Rangeley as well. 8 in Greenville, 12 in Millinocket. So 14 would be the coldest we've been so far this season in Portland, and similar effects for the rest of the state. So a cold night tonight. Tomorrow, nothing to write home about. It's very similar to today, just minus the snow showers. So temperatures get into the upper 30s. There's some clouds around, partly cloudy conditions, more clouds over northern Maine. And then we see a front come through late Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. What that's going to do is give us a couple of showers, but temperatures are going to be mild on Wednesday, particularly along the coastline into the 50s there, 52, 53 degrees over southwestern Maine. A little bit cooler as you head farther inland, and then temperatures continue to drop overnight on Wednesday and into Thursday. But nothing major goes on until Friday. That's when a storm system approaches, and it will be largely rain for the coastline. But notice there is some mixing going on here Friday morning into the mountains, probably heavy wet snow before that moves out midday. The weekend at this point looks pretty good, but take a look at this monster block we have in this big low sitting just offshore. Look at this thing. This is Sunday into Monday. This is a beast of a low, and it is blocked because of high pressure to the north and another low here. So I don't think this is going to be a player for us, but let's just keep an eye on it because it doesn't have too many directions to move by late in the weekend, early next week. And I hate to see a low of this size just kind of buzzing around in the Gulf of Maine. So we'll keep an eye on that. In the meantime, again, looks like a pretty good day on Wednesday after a morning shower. Good looking day on Thursday, but cool, upper 30s there. Pretty nasty on Friday. Cold rain for some of us, mixing for others. And then partly cloudy on Saturday and Sunday, just an isolated flake is a possibility. As I mentioned, we'll keep an eye on Monday. There'll be such a big storm in the vicinity of Maine that we just need to be aware of its presence, so to speak, and make sure that nothing major happens as far as it backtracking or going westward on us.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right, Keith. So. Thank you. We'll be right back. We've got a lot more local news coming up for you. News Center at 6. Pat Callahan is here with a preview. Hey there.
Hi, Cindy. Protesters gathered outside Senator Susan Collins' office in Portland to urge her to reject the Republican tax reform plan, but administration officials say it will help spur economic growth. Also ahead tonight, despite concerns about constitutionality, the gubernatorial primaries next spring could be the first test of ranked choice voting. News Center's Don Carrigan will show us how that might play out. And longtime Foxcroft Academy soccer and wrestling coach Luis Ayala had a lot of support from his community to win a national award, and he's making sure they reap the benefits. Jessica Gagne will have that story. It's all just a few minutes away on News Center at 6.
All right. Thank you so much, Pat. It was probably the worst kept secret in Britain's royal family since the last time one of them got engaged. We learned today that Prince Harry is engaged to American actress Meghan Markle. But what we didn't know was that he popped the question 2 weeks ago. Well, today the couple sat down for their first official interview together. Here are some of the highlights.
At our cottage, just a standard, typical night for us.
It's a cozy night. It was what we're doing, just roasting chicken and
trying to roast chicken.
Trying to roast a chicken, and it was just an amazing surprise. It was so sweet and natural and very romantic. He got on one knee.
Of course.
Was it an instant yes from you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I could barely let you finish proposing. I was like, can I say yes now?
She didn't even let me finish. She said, can I say yes, can I say yes now? And then there was hugs, and I had the ring in my finger, and I was like, can I give you the ring? And she goes, oh yes, the ring. So no, it was a really nice moment. It was just the two of us, and I think I managed to catch her by surprise as well. So.
Yeah. But now that it is all official, Prince Harry, do you have that sense that the combination of the two of you, your different backgrounds, that you together represent something new for the royal family?
I don't know if it's something new. I think it's for me it's an added member of the family. It's another team player as part of the bigger team, and for all of us, all we want to do is be able to carry out the right engagements, carry out our work, and try and encourage others and the younger generation to be able to see the world in the correct sense, rather than perhaps having a distorted view. So, you know, the fact that I fell in love with Meghan so incredibly quickly was a sort of confirmation to me that everything, all the stars were aligned, everything was just perfect. It was this beautiful woman just sort of literally tripped and fell into my life. I fell into her life, and the fact that I know the fact that she'll be really unbelievably good at the job part of it as well, is obviously a huge relief to me, because she'll be able to deal with everything else that comes with it. But no, you know, we're a fantastic team. We know we are, and we hope to, you know, over time, try and have as much impact for all the things that we care about as much as possible.
I am very excited about that, yeah.
And make children?
Not currently, no. No, of course, you know, I think, you know, one step at a time, and hopefully we'll start a family in the near future.
In the case of your relationship, unlike for most people, there's this whole layer of what it means to get involved with someone from the royal family. How much of a sense did you have, Meghan, of the enormity of what you were getting into, what it might mean for your life?
I think I can very safely say, as naive as it sounds now, having gone through this learning curve in the past year and a half, I did not have any understanding of just what it would be like. I don't think either of us did that. We both said that, even though we knew that it would be.
Yeah, I tried to warn you as much as possible, but I think both of us were totally surprised by the reaction after the first 5-6 months of when we had to ourselves of what actually happened from then. So I think you can have as many conversations as you want and try and prepare as much as possible, but we were totally unprepared for what happened after that.
Okay, so as for the ring, 3 diamonds, one of them from Botswana, the other 2 from Princess Diana's collection of diamonds. That's going to do it for News Center at 5:30. Thanks so much for joining us. We got a lot more local news for you, and it starts now.